Fabulous people, I think we are live. Hello, hello. Welcome to the live for all the babes who create their own life trends. I'm so excited that all of you are here. I know some people are just getting on, so I will give it just a couple of minutes. But those of you who are watching this live after it's over, I don't want to waste your time because I know it's important for you to get all the good, really good information that I have to share. I promise I will not waste your time today. I prepared so many tricks, tips when it comes to traveling Italy in general, traveling to Italy in 2025, traveling this summer in Italy. I have so much good, really good, valuable insider information to share with you. So I'm very, very excited. And I just wanted to give you just a few quick things really quick. One is that if you're watching this after this live is over, then please feel free to still leave me a comment down below. Let me know any questions, comments, concerns you have. I try to respond to every single comment, be it during this live or after it's over. So don't be disappointed if you're watching this after this live is over, because of course I know some of you are new to my channel. I also know that of course there is a big time difference between East Coast and West Coast. So if you're watching this and I'm no longer live, don't worry, just put your comment under this video and I will make sure to get to it. I try to get to as many comments as I can, answer everyone. I know this is important, especially with all the traveling that all of you are about to do, or maybe even next year. This information is going to be, I'm sure, relevant, most of it, at least going into 2026. So welcome, guys. And please feel free to leave me any questions as I am starting this live as well. This live is for you guys. Of course, I have a lot of information to share with you, but this is my time with you for you to ask me any questions to help you prepare for your traveling to Italy this year. So take this opportunity, take advantage of the fact that I'm live and I can answer your question live, so you don't have to wait for me to answer to your comment. Take advantage of this live because this live is for you, my Stay Fabulous community. I love doing these lives, and I really always look so forward to them. Okay, let's begin. Oh my goodness, my hair, my hair is a oh my goodness. I don't know what I'm doing. My hair is a mess this morning, guys, because I just got back from I think it's because the camera is also reversed, so I don't know which part of, anyway, we'll begin. I just get back from so many trips, guys. I haven't even had a chance to properly, settle down in Rome because I was just in Paris filming. Then I went to Assisi to film a day trip for Assisi, for those of you who will be doing day trips to Assisi. Then I will be in Rome for a week, and then I'm leaving for Sicily. I'm going to be filming Sicily for you guys. And then after this, I'm leaving for Greece. So a lot of Greek content is coming your way. And then there are so many other trips. Guys, I'm so excited. There is so much, hopefully useful, informative, fun content that is coming your way this year. And I've been probably filming more than ever, really, guys. I have so many things to share with you, so many travel guides, so many tips, so many podcast episodes. It just, the content and my information and knowledge and tips and tricks are going to be just pouring on you guys. So hopefully you will find my channel so beneficial when it comes to traveling Italy, of course, in particular Greece, and then of course other countries in Europe. I have so much prepared for you. So disregard my hair. If my hair is the sacrifice that I need to make to give you this content, let it be, guys. All right, so anyway, let's get started. The first thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the Amalfi Coast, because of course Amalfi Coast is a place where most people, I would say 95% of people who travel to Italy want to go to the Amalfi Coast. And I know this, first of all, because of course I've been living in Italy for over 10 years. That's one. Two is because I see the comments that are coming on my channel on a daily basis. And so many of you are asking me about the Amalfi Coast. And three, because as most of you know, I have a travel agency where we specialize in particular in bespoke trips to Italy and Greece. And so many clients of ours, of course, always ask us to organize part of their trip to Amalfi Coast, or at least a day trip to the Amalfi Coast. But we always get so many requests for the Amalfi Coast. So of course, I cannot talk about Italy summer travel without mentioning the Amalfi Coast. And of course, one of the biggest pain points on the Amalfi Coast, which is transportation. And of course, it's transfers, private transfers, trains, and ferries. Ferries is just something that I can talk about, guys, when it comes to the Amalfi Coast for hours. But there is something that I want to mention to you guys, and I will be talking about it in more details in one of my podcast episodes. But there is something in particular that I want to address when it comes to the Amalfi Coast, and ferries in particular, and that is taking a ferry from, be it Positano or Sorrento, to the nearby island of Capri. And the one of the biggest insider tips that I want to share with you, and this is something that you really need to know, is that ferries, especially during the high season, are not very reliable. Now, I don't want to scare anyone, because, of course, there are so many people that take ferries on a daily basis from Sorrento and Positano to go to the Capri and then come back. So, not that this is something that you need to really be concerned about, but here is one thing that you really need to consider. There is always a chance that your ferry gets canceled. So even if you buy a ferry ticket and you're all set and ready to go, and you did your homework and you said, okay, Anastasia, I got my ferry tickets in advance, there is a chance that during the high season, and even not, we've seen it happening even during the not high season, ferries can cancel, and they can cancel even one day prior to your trip. But here is the insider scoop, insider trick, whatever you guys want to call it. If you are not set on one particular place in Amalfi Coast, and you ask me, Anastasia, what is the port that is the most reliable, so to speak, when it comes to taking a ferry? Where do I have the least chances of my ferry to get canceled? And the port that I recommend is a port of Sorrento. That is the port where I would say, if we take all the ferry departures and cancellations and all those kind of logistics into consideration, that is the port where ferries get canceled the least, the port of Sorrento. So if you want to minimize the chances of your ferry getting canceled, then I would strongly recommend for you guys to depart, for example, to Capri from Sorrento. And I know a lot of you are going to say, what about Positano, Anastasia? Unfortunately, Positano, because the Positano port is very tiny, it's very narrow, very small, very compact, and especially during the times when the weather is not ideal, those ferries from Positano to Capri, Capri to Positano are the first ones pretty much to get canceled. It's a very well-known fact, especially if you're in a travel industry, especially if you are a local travel agency in Italy, you know that unfortunately Positano port is the one to get most of the time to get canceled. And like I said, unfortunately, it can happen even one day prior to the ferry that you're supposed to take. And no, if you want to ask me, is the weather the only factor why a ferry gets canceled? No, guys, unfortunately a ferry can just get canceled, and they can give you any kind of explanation. They can say that it is due to the weather or it is due to technical difficulties, but in reality, to be honest, it's not even always the case. They just need to give you a good reason why they had to cancel your ferry. So one way to avoid it, like I said, if you want to be 100% sure, then of course book your ferry from Sorrento. Again, it's not 100%, but it's more, you're more likely to get to Capri from Sorrento than from Positano. Let's just put it that way. And another thing that you, of course, guys, can do, even if you're staying in Positano, you can book a private transfer, for example, from Positano to Sorrento early morning, so you can take your ferry from Sorrento to Capri. You can do that too, for example. So you can stay in Positano and take a ferry from Sorrento. Of course, there are more logistics for you guys to take into consideration, to more logistics for you to keep in mind, to organize all these things. But if you don't want to run into any chances, then definitely that is one way to go. Another way to go, of course, is to take a private boat. We've organized private boats before from Positano to Capri, if you want to avoid, again, this kind of uncertainty when it comes to taking a ferry. And of course, one of the best ways to do, and I always talk about it, is to work with a local travel agency who can really organize all this logistics for you. And even if your ferry gets canceled last minute, your travel agency should be able to reorganize everything and to be able to still have you depart for Capri. And that is one of the advantages to work with a local travel agency, because not only a good local travel agency in Italy, we get, of course, all the insider information on what is happening, but because we can react really fast, because we have a team on the ground where we can reorganize things and take care of all those logistics. So you don't have to stress during vacation and to sit there and be, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? Okay, let me organize private transfer, but which is a reliable company? Which one is going to respond? Are there last minute private transfers? Now you have to rebook the tickets, ask for the refunds, deal with all those things on vacations. And in order for you to have a stress-free vacation, is the best way to do it is to have a local travel agency who can deal with all of this, rebooking the ferries, organizing private transfers, dealing with the captain of the boat if you also have a private boat that will take you around Capri. So all this logistics behind the scenes, guys, a good local travel agency can take care of this for you, so you can have the most stress-free vacation. And that is one of the advantages of going with a travel agency, because I know those of you who never worked with a travel agency, I know you're not sure what are the benefits. There are so many benefits, and having that emergency contact where someone can handle all these logistics for you is one of those advantages. So Mary Higgins says, good morning from Montana, USA. I love your podcast. So much great information. Thank you so much, guys. Honestly, the podcast, because they're new, because this is my first year doing them, of course, they're going to get better and better and stronger. And I'm just so beyond grateful for your support for my podcast, because I know it's a new format. It's different way to present material. And it means the world to me, those of you who are supporting this format, who are enjoying this format, who are leaving your comments and questions on my podcast. Thank you so much. I I can just say one thing: they will only get better. They will only get stronger. They will only give you more and more and more information. So much more to come on my podcast. Thank you guys so much. I pour genuinely every bit of me into those episodes, and of course into this channel, into all my travel guides and tips and everything. Thank you. It means the world for me, really, your support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, those of you who also want to maybe listen to my podcast episodes, they're also available on Spotify and iTunes, so you guys can obviously listen to my podcasts in the audio format. You don't have to watch them, but any way you want to consume the content, I'm just grateful, guys, for those of you who are supporting them. So keep the question comments coming on this live, guys. Those of you who joined, like I said at the very beginning, this is your time to ask me any questions that will help you to prepare for your travel to Italy this summer and even beyond. Just ask me anything. This is our time. This is when I can answer all of your questions live, so you don't have to wait for the answers. I apologize. I am because I've been traveling so much. I'm a little bit jet lagged. I'm a little bit today, maybe a little bit all over the place, but I just want to make sure that you guys as prepared as possible for your travels in Italy. So hence, I really want to share as much information with you as possible, even though I'm I'm a little bit jet lagged. I've been, like I said, traveling so much. Yesterday I got home at almost 10 p.m. from Assisi. So but the video on Assisi, guys, is going to be so good. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited to share it with you. I filmed such a great guide on Assisi for those of you who want to do a day trip to this special town. You will find so much good information there. I'm so excited. I just cannot wait to share it with you. Now I just have to put it together for you and then share it. So very excited for Assisi travel guide to come out. I've been traveling there so many times, and now it's finally in works. Very excited. All right, so now let me talk about Venice, guys. Venice is also one of those places who always get so many comments and questions, so I want to talk about Venice. And I received in particular one question in the comment tab on my community tab. I want to make sure that I address all your questions, because I asked in the community tab to share all your questions for those of you who cannot attend this live. So Alaska Brandy, I'm responding to your question. And the question that you left for me was this: have you ever chartered a boat for the Canals Lagoon to Venice? Would you recommend this type of trip in the shoulder season? I prefer to travel when it's cooler and hopefully less packed with people. So this is a very good question, because from this question I can talk about three topics, which is great, and those three topics are also the ones that I get asked on a lot. And pretty much, let's talk about a chartered boat. If you're referring to a private boat charter to explore Venice Lagoon, then I can tell you that this is an excellent way to do it, especially if you want to also explore nearby islands like Murano, Burano. Of course, I'm sure most of you guys heard about those islands. Those are absolutely great places, of course, to visit, but it depends on how many days you plan on, of course, being in Venice. Because if you plan on just visiting Venice for a day, I wouldn't recommend to, of course, cover Murano, Burano. Those are for people who want to explore Venice in depth, or those of you who are coming back to Venice. So you already spent some time in Venice and now you're going for the second round or third round. Then, of course, exploring the islands of Murano and Burano is something that I strongly recommend. And doing it on a private boat charter is, of course, is a great way to do it. Now, if you're referring to a gondola ride, which I'm not sure if you are, but if you are referring to a gondola ride, of course, gondola is better for shorter experiences, for smaller canals, for more intimate, uh, more kind of private and romantic kind of way. Of course, gondola rides is something that I strongly, strongly recommend. Now, within the gondola ride, there is something that I want to share with you guys, and again, it also has to do with kind of that insider information, insider knowledge, and that is, I do not recommend for you to book your gondola rides in advance, guys. I know so often on my channel I always say, okay, gondola rides, okay, tours, activities, doesn't matter what, there are so many things that I always say, make sure to plan in advance. When it comes to Vatican tours, when it comes to Colosseum tours, when it comes to boat tours on Amalfi Coast, or boat tour on Lake Como, or whatever it is, I always say book in advance, accommodations, tours, activities, make restaurant reservations. I always say everything should be planned in advance, because in Italy, and we will talk about it in a second, shoulder season is not really the shoulder season that you guys heard from so many YouTubers who maybe come to Italy. They don't live here but only come to Italy for a shorter amount of time. Book everything in advance, but gondola ride is an exception, guys. Gondola rides, I do not recommend for you to book in advance for two main reasons. Number one is because there are so many gondola rides available in Venice. There are so many different points from which you can book your gondola rides. For example, for the clients of my travel agency, we actually give them the best points to book gondola rides, and we even tell them, if you book it from this point, these are usually the places you'll be able to see. If you book it from that point, these are usually the places where they will take you. So if you want to be on the Grand Canal, these are the best points. If you want more of those smaller canals, more of a hidden gems, this is the best point to book your gondola. So there are so many different points from which you can book your gondola from, guys. And there are always gondolieres available. So booking one in advance is really not necessary. You will be able really to just come to Venice and book it. And the only exception to it, if you want, of course, a gondola ride with someone singing or performing, because of course there are many you will see in Venice. On the gondola, there are sometimes singers, there are sometimes musicians who are also sitting with you and performing. So it just depends. But I would say for 90% of the gondola rides where you just want to be on the gondola and enjoy with your gondoliere, have him take you to different places, you can book it right on the spot. You really don't need to book it in advance. And the main reason, number two, why I wouldn't recommend for you guys to book it in advance is because online, it's always going to be way, way more expensive than booking it on the spot. It's a known fact, for whatever reason, if you book it online, even if it's with major tour operators, I don't want to call any tour operator in particular, it doesn't matter, they will always charge you at least a few times more, sometimes two, sometimes three, it just depends. So there is no need, there is no reason for you to book your gondola ride ahead of time. This is kind of, again, insider tip, insider knowledge. You will always find yourself a gondola while in Venice, if this is something you want to do, which I know most people want to do. So if you don't want to overpay, because who wants to overpay for something? If you don't want to overpay, and you're not and you're not trying to book, like I said, a band for your gondola ride or a singer, then definitely just book it on the spot. No need for you to book it in advance, because this is the question that a lot of people ask me all the time: how far in advance you should book your gondola ride, or where you should book it. And I always say there is really no need for it. So this is another kind of insider scoop, insider information that I wanted to share with you. Now, one thing that I want to address in particular about this comment, and I see all of you who are leaving me already questions, guys, keep them coming. I will get to them in a second. Keep them coming. I just want to wrap up the Venice point. In your question, when you, Alaska Brandy, when you are talking about the shoulder season, and I know, of course, the shoulder season, why a lot of people want to find that shoulder season is because they don't want to be among just crazy crowds and, you know, packed activities and tours, etc., etc. I know this is very important, but here is the thing. Let's define shoulder season in Italy, because a lot of what I see, a lot of misinformation online when a lot of people say shoulder season, spring, fall. And here we really need to go into the details of when in the fall or when in the spring, because if you're going to say shoulder season September or October, especially the first part of October, you guys know that this is just such a misinformation, and this always upsets me when someone who doesn't live in Italy and maybe traveled here a few times or even once says, guys, I recommend you visiting Italy in the fall or in the spring because this is the shoulder season. This is when the crowds are going to be less. This is the great time to visit. And this couldn't be further from the truth, because September in Italy, September and pretty much the entire October are two busiest months in entire year. Please hear me, because I say it in every single video of mine, pretty much, where I share tips. So if you are considering fall as a shoulder season, then yes, if you're traveling in November, for example, but September and pretty much the entire October, those 2 months are not shoulder season in Italy. As a matter of fact, this is, like I said, the busiest time to be in Italy. So if you're looking for the shoulder season, the real shoulder season, not something that you maybe read or heard in a blog or you watched on another channel, just know that the shoulder season, if we're talking about spring, I would consider a shoulder season March, for example. That is a shoulder season. This is when you still won't get tons of crowds in Venice. And if we're talking about fall, then it is November. You can come to Venice in November and it will be, for example, a shoulder season. We can consider that month a shoulder season, that fall months. Of course, there still will be crowds. This is Italy, or crowds is a part of the Italian experience, but they will be less. The only thing that, of course, then you need to consider, which it seems like you're absolutely fine with this, is the weather. The weather will be cooler. March and November, that is one of the reasons why less people travel in March and November, is because the weather is cooler, and unfortunately it does tend to rain. So it does tend to rain in November, especially towards the second part of November, and the same for March. So the weather is a little bit unpredictable. If that is not a factor to you and you don't mind cooler temperatures, then yes, March would be great for you to visit. November would be great for you to visit, because the crowds will be less and the weather will be cooler, and you will get more of that authentic Venice experience. In a sense, there won't be as many crowds. So just make sure, of course, to pack accordingly for that weather. But guys, if you plan on traveling to Venice in April, if you plan on traveling to Venice in May or September or October, if you think it's not going to be crowded, you're going to be so disappointed, because it is packed, guys. It will be packed. If you think that summer is the months when Italy gets the most amount of tourists, it's not how it is. It's not the reality. Of course, summer months are very, very busy in Italy, but when it comes to September crowds, for example, guys, it's nothing. September, that's when you will really experience Italian crowds. You will, and I always joke about it with all of my clients, because so many, when we have our initial Zoom call, so many, of course, of them say, Anastasia, we want to come in a shoulder season, we want to come in September. And again, I have to, of course, share all the information that I'm sharing with you when it comes to the reality of visiting Italy in September. And of course, everyone always says, that is crazy. I never thought that. I thought it's the summer. And I said, yes, it's just how it is. If you want to literally feel like you're in the United States of America, then come to Italy in September, because most of the people, that's when they prefer to travel, because they think it's a shoulder season and the kids are back to school. So they try to avoid the crowds, and then the entire United States ends up, of course, in Italy in September, for example. And I mean, I don't blame you guys. The weather is absolutely perfect, of course, in September. And September has so many advantages when it comes to, of course, all the festivals that are happening throughout Italy in September. The weather is a perfection. So there are tons of pluses. I'm not by no means trying to talk you out of visiting Italy in September or October. It's just, I want to make sure you're prepared for the reality of the situation, that if you're trying to avoid the crowds, that is not the months for you to visit. Not September, guys, because September is always very, very crowded. Okay, and so just something for you guys to know, because I just feel, like I said, there is so much misinformation about this on the internet, and I want to give you the reality of the situation as a local who lives in Italy, as someone who runs a travel agency here. I just want for you guys to have facts, not something that, you know, you come to Italy and then you are dealing with misinformation. All right, let me jump straight to the questions. And then, of course, I have a lot more information to share with you. I can't believe I've been speaking for 32 minutes. I feel like I just started this live and my hair finally settled down, guys. It's not all over. All right. So Mary continues, I'll be in Rome on, so May 22 and May 23. It's coming up so soon. Oh my goodness. I really want to visit Campo de Fiore market near our hotel. Is it worth it? What can I expect and how much time should I allot? Okay. Oh, I can talk about this. I can talk about this for a long time. So Campo de Fiore markets, guys. Campo de Fiore market has been one of the most iconic markets in Rome for decades. As a matter of fact, when I came as a student to Rome many years ago, I was 19, and I lived in Rome for a year during the study abroad program. I used to live in Campo de Fiore. Campo de Fiore was the first area where I lived in Rome, and it always has a very special place in my heart. I know, of course, Campo de Fiore area and Rome in general with my eyes closed at this point. And Campo de Fiore market at that time, which was 21 years ago, that used to be truly one of the most authentic, incredible markets. So if you asked me that question 21 years ago, I would have said, absolutely, Mary, you have to experience Campo de Fiore. It's so authentic. It's so special. You will just absolutely love mingling with locals and looking at all the fresh produce, at all the fruits and vegetables and meats and fish and everything in between. Just trust me, go there. You will love, love, love that market. The reality nowadays is different. Unfortunately, Campo de Fiori became very, 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 very touristy market. There are still a few local vendors there, but majority of them are from other countries, and the authenticity of the market unfortunately is completely lost. I'm not I'm not one of the people who is going to try to kind of sugarcoat it. I'm going to always say it how it is. And in my opinion, Campo de Fiori market is not the market that I would recommend visiting. It's just how it is. If you want to visit it just because it was for decades on everyone's itineraries and because of this old glory that this market has, yes, do it. But nowadays, unfortunately, the quality of the produce is extremely low. People who work at that market, majority of them, unfortunately, they, like I said, they're foreigners, and what they sell and what they offer is just it's a shame what has happened to that market. It's it, every time I pass by this market, it's painful because I remember when it was a true authentic local market where all the locals went to shop, and nowadays unfortunately it's just mainly tourists, and what is sold there, the quality is so poor. So if you want to just go and just see it for its past glory, do it. If you want to truly experience some of the absolute best local markets, then I would recommend for you to visit some of them in Prati area. And also, of course, you can, if you want to venture out a little bit from the city center, not too far, don't think you'll have to go somewhere for an hour, no, but Testaccio area, Testaccio is also very, very local, and Testaccio has an excellent, excellent, excellent local market also there. So if you want to experience the true local ambiance where all the locals go and shop with all the best producers for cheeses and meats and vegetables and fruits and sweets, and you want to really mingle with locals and see how things are done, Prati and Testaccio, those are the really the areas for you to go and really explore the real authentic local markets in excuse me, in Rome. I'm going to have a sip of water. And then, of course, one of my favorite markets is the Campagna Amica market, and I included it in my guide on what to do. I believe it's what to do in Rome in October. And I featured that market because it is truly one of my absolute favorite markets in Rome. It is located next to Circo Massimo, and I would say it's a 15-minute walk from the Coliseum, just to kind of give you orientation where it's at. So if you keep going down from Coliseum, you will come to Circo Massimo, and it's right there. And that is another absolutely amazing, authentic local market. And they take credit cards, by the way. That's another information for you guys to know, because I know a lot of you are wondering, can I pay with a card or should I bring cash? You can pay with the card. And they also, what I absolutely love about that market is that they also cook in that market. So you have a separate area where you have local vendors who actually cook different things. So you can grab a sandwich there, or some dish with fish or pizza, whatever it is they prepare that day. So you have the outside area of the market. Inside the market where you can go, there are many different vendors. So you can grab a sandwich, or you can grab, I don't know, panini, or which is pretty much the same thing, or you can grab some pizza, or maybe a dish of the day. And they also sell local wine and beers and everything in between. So you can sit down, have a proper lunch there. Just, there are very limited amount of tables. You might have to really fight for your table, but it's a part of it. It's fun. And you can buy stuff for, if you're staying, for example, in Airbnb, you can even buy some fresh produce for your Airbnb from that market. It's fantastic. There, the olive oil that they sell there, the meats, the cheeses, the freshly baked bread, guys, the mozzarella, the tomatoes. You can buy all these things, come home, and just cut yourself a huge slice of bread, smash some mozzarella on it, some tomatoes, pour olive oil all over it, and you will have the meal of your life. So definitely don't skip that market. The only thing about that market for you to know is that it is only open during the weekend. That's why I don't I don't recommend it for everyone, because if you're not in Rome during the weekend, then unfortunately you won't be able to attend that market. But like I said, Prati and Testaccio, they both have excellent markets, local markets for you guys to visit. But it's just Campagna Amica market. It's just my favorite. I love going there, and I love having lunch there, and I love that it's so local, and you get to shop and you get to eat there. It's just a great environment. And you can even bring souvenirs from that market back home, because a lot of you ask me, Anastasia, where I can get souvenirs to bring back, like for example olive oil. And that's a great market to do it, because again, everything is so local. So you can really buy some spices to bring back home. You can bring some olive oil. They also have different kind of jams and truffle butter and everything in between. So also great place for you to shop for souvenirs to bring back home. Okay, so I know I always try to answer a question in a few words, but that never me, guys. I love sharing as much information as possible with you. I love going into details. So hopefully that helps. All right. Irina Sam says, hi, beautiful. I want to buy a house in Tuscany. What do you recommend? I am EU citizen. So, of course, there's so much on this topic. I don't know exactly what you mean by, what you recommend, if you have a specific question for me. But of course, what I recommend is to begin your search. I would strongly recommend hiring a real estate agent, because of course, but the one that usually comes recommended and reliable, because you will need, if you if you don't live in Italy, but even if you do live in Italy, you will need a good real estate agent to navigate you through all these processes, because of course you will need to find a home, have it inspected. You will need to figure out which area in Tuscany, because there are so many different areas in Tuscany. Do you want to be, Montepulciano, do you want to be in Montalcino? Do you want to be close to Florence? Do you want to be in the Pisa area? What's important to you? Do you want to be, do you love wine? Do you want to be in a region, in the area that produces a certain type of wine? Do you want to be close to the major city? Do you want to have incredible views, which of course in Tuscany it's pretty common, but still there are so many things to consider, and a good agent would be able to navigate you through all of the processes, all of the questions, because of course buying a place in a foreign country, like for you probably in Italy, would mean you would have to you would have to learn the ways of how of what the process is like buying a place in Italy, and there are a lot of nuances. You would have to get an inspector for the house. You would get to you will need to get a notary for you to for all the bureaucratic stuff. You would have to inspect the home. You would have to figure out the area in Tuscany. Like I said, there are so many nuances. So I would definitely recommend for you to as a first step to get a reliable real estate agent in Italy, and specifically that specializes in the Tuscany area, because of course there are real estate agents specifically for example, for Rome or for Lazio area. There are for Tuscany, for Florence. So just I would start your research with the travel agent, and I would interview as many of them as possible. Or if one comes highly recommended to you, even better. Recommendations, I always say, it's the best. So I would start your process there. But of course, it's a dream. It's a dream of so many people to live in Tuscany. Just you have to figure out so many things. Like I said, where exactly in Tuscany, and all the bureaucracy and logistics and everything, because it's Italy, guys. I talk about it in so many of my videos and podcast episodes. The bureaucracy in Italy is is it's it's unlike anywhere else. So just you need someone to navigate you through all of those things. So I hope I know I didn't go into specifics, because I don't know exactly if you have a specific question for me on this subject, but I kind of wanted at least to give you the general idea and general information. Okay, one moment, another sip of water before we move in. Guys, I'm telling you today, this is the best you're gonna get of me. Unfortunately, with all this traveling, my brain is I'm doing my best, and even more than my best, trust me. Let's see, Maria, good morning from the Boston area. Hello, Boston. We're leaving a week from tomorrow for Italy. Oh, fantastic. And we'll stay in Trastevere while in Rome. What are your favorite dinner restaurants in Trastevere? Oh, Trastevere is great. It's fantastic. It's a food paradise pretty much. But of course, in Trastevere there are tons of tourist traps, and also there are tons of really good local restaurants. Now, please don't be upset with me for this. This is something that I always say in all of my lives. I don't give specific recommendations on the area, not on the area, apologies, on the restaurants. And the reason for it, guys, is because there are so many restaurants throughout the years that unfortunately were ruined, for the lack of better word, because influencers came, talked about it, and then the place just became lost completely its authenticity. And with the respect to the local culture and locals who live, it was my decision a long time ago to stop recommending specific places. I do share, of course, and we book local restaurants for the clients of my travel agency. We do that, but I don't recommend specific restaurants online during lives or in my videos. Sometimes I share here and there, and you can go and find those videos. For example, I recommended not so long ago Il Marchese restaurant. So it's not in Trastevere, but again, I want to say that from time to time I do it, but I try to do it very, very, very rarely, because locals unfortunately do get disappointed and upset, and I understand them, because when you promote a certain place, then you have thousands of people that start pouring into that place, and it loses, unfortunately, its authenticity, and it loses its value in the eyes of a local, because the food quality goes down. And with the over tourism that is already happening around the world, and of course Italy is one of the countries that unfortunately is the first one to be affected by over tourism. I don't recommend any specific places, again, out of the respect for the locals and for local places. So I apologize. I know that's not the answer you want, but again, it's over tourism is something that Italy has been suffering with so much lately, and other countries, even France, for example. Pierre and I were recently in Paris celebrating my 40th birthday, and we went to the area that some years ago was, of course, always was popular, not like there were no people. Of course, it was always stunning, hence it was always popular, and it was served as a movie set, as a matter of fact, for a lot of movies. But when we went there this time, it was a zoo, guys. We couldn't move. We couldn't walk. And the restaurants there that were authentic local restaurants even 10 years ago were now one of the biggest tourist traps. So they went from being true authentic local places where locals went to enjoy, and maybe a few people who were in the know. Now they are major tourist traps. We looked at the food, we looked at the prices, and it was just no. Maybe a drink there, but to eat there, when we saw the food, it was just not good. The quality went down so much. And it's because, again, it's because of a lot of influencers, of course, because social media, that's how most people, where they get their information. A lot of influencers, they come, they promote certain place, they say go, and then this place turns into another tourist trap. It's very, very, very rare, and I've seen it actually in a few, with few places where a place became very, very, very popular, but they still maintained a high level of food and service. It does happen, but unfortunately it happens quite rare. So that is the reason why I don't promote any certain places on my channel, because I I don't want to contribute more and more and more to over tourism. And you guys know that, as a matter of fact, a lot of times on my channel, I not just share places that are very, very popular, which of course I know that that's where you want to go when you visit Italy for the first time. Absolutely. But I also try to share places that are least popular, not because they're less beautiful, but because they're less known. And it's not only when it comes to Italy. You guys know I travel to a lot of islands in Greece, for example, that are less popular, less known, but equally stunning and beautiful. Yes, they might not have the infrastructure of Santorini or Mykonos, but the food, the local experiences, the beauty of the beaches, they're definitely just, they are on the same level, if not higher, because you get this authentic local cuisine, for example, in Tinos, without the crazy crowds and insanity of Santorini. So I try to share as much also of hidden gems, of less known places in different countries, in Italy, of course, in Greece, because that's my specialty. That is where my travel agency is special. Those are two countries my travel agency specializes on. So I try to share with you guys other gems that you can go and explore in Italy outside of the very, very, very popular and known cities and towns, etc., etc. So, and just, I know this is a kind of a very broad answer that I gave. I just want to make sure, guys, that you're aware that there are so many incredible places in Italy and Greece and France that are less known, but just equally stunning. They're such gems that if you just experience them, you would be blown away, because you would see Italy, or you would see France, or you would see Greece in a completely different way. And for example, when I used to go to Santorini, it wasn't as what it is today. It's a totally different experience. So anyway, I can talk also on this subject for a long, long, long time. One thing that I would recommend when you are selecting places in Trastevere, for example, just keep in mind all the tips that I always share with you guys, how to distinguish a tourist trap from a really good local restaurant. Just make sure you're not walking into places with where there are literally menus outside. Make sure you're not walking into places where the person is calling you in constantly, because good local restaurants, they don't need that. They already have the local clientele up to here. They don't really need to be standing and calling you in. They are happy as they are. There are some local places where you need to make reservation 3 to 4 weeks in advance just to get there for lunch or dinner. So if the restaurant is good, they will not have a person calling you in. That is 100% already not a good sign. Also, stay away from the restaurants that have everything on the menu. If you see on the menu that they offer lasagna and burgers and sushi and carbonara, and everything in between, also not a good sign, because in every region they have their specialties that they specialize on. So they will, if a good local authentic restaurant will have a smaller menu, and they will be mainly specializing in those local dishes. So if you see, I don't know, Florentine steak and pasta carbonara in the same menu, for me, there is already a little bit of a discord there. There's something that does not add up, because if you go into Tuscany, for example, into Florence, as the capital of Tuscany, then you want to go to the restaurants where you see they specialize in Florentine steaks. If you are in Rome, you want to see restaurants that specialize in pasta carbonara, cacio e pepe, amatriciana. You want places that specialize in those things. If you see that they specialize in everything, not a good place. So just watch a few videos of mine where I talk about how to distinguish a good local restaurant from a tourist trap. I have quite a few restaurants on that topic, and hopefully that will make your choice easier. But whatever you do, just don't go to Tonarello, please. Guys, all of you who are watching my channel and this live, I know I openly talk about it. It's not that it's bad, but the food is so average there, guys. It became popular again because of all the influencers who went there, and they just made this place popular, but honestly for no reason, guys. There are so many other restaurants in Trastevere that are so much better. Tonarello now has like 1 million reviews on Google, TripAdvisor. Again, for no reason, guys. It's so average. Every local pretty much will tell you it is so average. And for you to stand in line just to get there for like 30 minutes to an hour, it's not worth it, guys. It is not worth it. And last time I was there, because I from time to time I go to test different places and to see what's the quality like. Last time I was there about a year ago, I was not impressed at all. There's so many other places in Rome that are so much better than Tonarello and Nonarello. It's the same, guys, please. Because the reason why I'm talking and kind of bringing those two places up, because they're both in Trastevere. Don't go there. It's just so not worth it, really. It's a hyped again by influencers who come to Italy, and they go to the place. And of course, I understand, it's like me going to, I always give as an example, me going to Tokyo or me going to Japan in general. Any sushi I will try there, it will be better than anything I've ever had. So of course I'm going to be like, go to this restaurant, which I would never do. It's the same when your buds are not trained to differentiate different pasta carbonaras or matricianas or anything, because you don't live here. Almost anything is going to taste incredible to you. But when you live here for a long time and you've tested hundreds, if not thousands, of carbonaras and amatricianas and cacio pepes, and you can look at a plate and already know if it's good or not. And I can tell you, those places, they're just not worth it. I can tell you the food is extremely average there. All right. As always, got carried away. Mary Hickey says, I so appreciate this info. You're very, very welcome, and have a trip of a lifetime. Enjoy, 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 enjoy. Lucille Kashan says, good morning, can't wait. Good morning. Yes, it's coming up so soon. Edgar Kimura says, greetings from Berlin. Fantastic, fantastic. I love it. Berlin is online too. Irina Sam says, thank you so much. I'm just starting the process, so I'm gathering information. It will be in town near the sea, but also not so crowded. Amazing, amazing, of course. If you can be by the sea, even better, right? It's obviously a dream. It's a dream. And actually, Tuscany region, I know it's not very known for the beach areas and stuff, but actually Tuscany has, there are a lot of really nice places with the water nearby, not just hot springs. All right, so Andrea Aziz, hey, we're a family of 5. Where do you recommend us to stay, and what websites do we use for the best price? So a family of 5, here's the thing, when it's a family of 5, and I understand also the budget is something to consider, then I would always recommend for you guys to rent Airbnb instead of staying at the hotel. Because one thing that a lot of people who are traveling to Italy for the first time, they don't know, is that in Italy, it's not as common to have big family rooms as it is in the US. It's very difficult and challenging to find a room for, let's say, for 3 people or for 4 people. And the rooms will be smaller and the prices will be much higher for those type of rooms. So a lot of times that means that you would have to rent 2-3 rooms in a hotel, and of course that tends to get pricier. So since the budget is for you guys is something to consider, then I recommend for you looking at Airbnbs, see what, depending how many bedrooms you want, how many bathrooms you want, and to see what you guys can find. And where do I recommend? Again, depends on your budget, guys. City center of any place, be it Florence, Milan, Rome, it's always going to be more expensive. So again, if budget is something for you to consider, I recommend for you to stay maybe a bit outside of the city center. But something that I say all the time, definitely not near the train station. Because near the train station, here's what happens. You will have really good accommodations in a sense of they will look good, and the prices also will be very good. So you will be like, bingo, I found a great place, great great interior, excellent price, I take it. But anywhere near the train station, guys, those areas will always be the most unsafe areas. Not that something is 100% that is going to happen to you, but if safety is something that is important to you, which I know for most of you and for me, of course, I would stay away from the in any major city from booking anything near the train station. So I would never, ever, ever book something for clients of ours, of my travel agency, near the Termini train station, for example, or near the Florence train station, or near Naples train station. It's a no. Even though I know, like I said, it can be very tempting because they tend to keep prices low, and the ambiance of those places tend to be quite nice, but at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. Your safety is not worth it. So you do need to have quite a good understanding of the area, no matter which city you're in, to make sure that you are staying in a safe area. Safety is a priority. And if you're not using travel agency to organize your trip, then read tons of reviews for each place. If you're going on Airbnb and let's say you found a great place and it has the amount of bedrooms that you want and bathrooms that you want, then go deeper. Start reading all the reviews, especially the negative ones. Understand, is it loud during the night? Is it a good, safe area? How far this area from major sites? All those things you need to start researching deeply to understand what you are getting yourself into, because accommodations matter, guys. It is not just a place where you sleep. I will always say it until my last day, accommodations matter. Where you stay matters. So this is something that I would spend, if you, again, not working with a local travel agency or any travel agency, I would spend so much time researching all those things, the areas for accommodations, the type of accommodations, where it's located, how far it is from the main sites, how safe it is in the evening, etc., etc. You have to really take all these things into consideration. I hope that helps. Lucille Cochan says, looking forward to your services in July. Yes, we have organized, we've planned it, we're waiting on you. Rome is ready. Just it's just waiting on you to arrive. It's going to be wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Edgar says, any recommendation? Any, I assume it's any recommendation for a week in Sicily? My wife and me are going there by end of May with no detail plans so far. By the way, we love your videos, specifically in Greece. Thank you so much, Edgar. Well, okay, so first of all, of course, it makes me a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie. The fact that you don't really have any specific plans for it yet. I hope you at least know the cities you will be visiting and what you want to do in those cities. I just would recommend for you to really, again, start narrowing those things down, because Sicily is big. There is a lot to see there. There's a lot to do there. So I would definitely at least narrow down places that you want to see. And from there, since you will be there for a week, I wouldn't recommend for you to go to a new place every day. I always big into dedicating maybe 2 days to each location, since you will be in Sicily. So you will be, moving from one place to another, or maybe you will do day trips. Again, I can give you more information if I know more details, right? Because when we plan a trip, we plan bespoke trips for all our clients. So we structure it in a way that it makes sense from all the angles, specifically logistically. So again, it's hard to give specific recommendations for your trip, but if I had 1 week in Sicily, I would definitely focus on exploring each place in more depth. 2 days, don't rush it. Don't try to pack your schedule with too many things, and also focus on certain maybe activities that you can do in each place that are local to that experience, to that place. Also make sure to book restaurants in advance, because of course it's Sicily is quite popular. I was actually going to talk about it in my next point, especially after White Lotus series. It became extremely popular. So a lot of restaurants, good restaurants, get booked in advance. So that's kind of a general theme. Make sure that you're focusing on each place, give it at least 2 days. Don't rush it. Make sure that you book a few things ahead of time, and just do your research as far as what's important, what's popular in each place. Be it a site to see, be it a tour, be it a cooking class, be it a food tour through the market, whatever it is, just kind of decide what you want to do in each place, because Sicily is so diverse. There's so much to do at each place. You have, of course, you have I mean, you have places where I would just go for the beach, right? There are places where I would just go for the nature. There are places where I would just go to discover different sites and churches, cathedrals, and there are just so much. So it just really depends what you're into and what you like to do. But the main thing that I want to say in this whole thing is just please plan before you get there, because I see people being so disappointed when they think that they can just kind of swing it, and then they come to the place and then they are disappointed because some of the things are already booked or not available, or they don't know that this site is closed on that day, or the visiting hours are that, or they come to the restaurant and it's already booked for the next 2 weeks. So just research in advance. That's the most important, I would say. um so Lucille is sharing, I can recommend Osteria Baco. It was great in October, going back in July. So Lucille is sharing some of her tips. Thank you so much, Lucille. Also, Trattoria Al Moro, my favorite. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And so Robert says, yes, what I don't know. I don't understand this question. What going on? I guess that I don't know. So I think I answered all the questions so far and all the comments. So just a few more tips, guys, and then we will wrap it up. My pleasure, Edgar. I hope you will have the most fantastic time. I actually also will be in Sicily at the end of May, in Syracuse. I will be filming a guide on Syracuse. So I am excited to share it with you guys. Of course, this is one of the things I wanted to discuss with you, is that it's interesting how, of course, because we're in a summer season, it's interesting how south of Italy is becoming very popular beyond the Amalfi Coast, which I like, because the more we discover, and by we I mean the more I show you guys other parts of Italy, where else you can go, the more you will know where to go. So it's great, because one, you will be able to discover some of the most incredible hidden gems in Italy, and two, because this way we will kind of combat the over tourism to certain places like Amalfi Coast, for example, that has been unfortunately struggling so much with just crowds and over tourism in the past. Especially, it's always been popular, so I don't want to say Amalfi Coast just became popular in the past 10 years. No, it's always been popular, but of course in the past, I would say 10 years, it just exploded. And even within Amalfi Coast, there are so many smaller places where, if you guys knew where to go, for example, you would have went and you would have enjoyed it just as much as, let's say, Ravello, Positano, or Sorrento. For example, villages like Praiano, they are less known, but they are just equally stunning, and they're in close proximity to, like Positano, for example. So it's a responsibility on us to show other places where you can travel. And I love that more and more people are starting to discover now other places in Italy, in the south. Like, for example, of course, Sardinia is becoming more and more popular, more and more people giving Sardinia a chance. And of course, it's truly it's a paradise. It has some of the best beaches, not only in Italy but literally in entire Europe. They call it the Maldives of Europe. So Sardinia is one that, of course, I plan on showing you guys. Puglia is becoming more and more popular, and it's on the radar of so many people, which is also great because Puglia is, of course, another hidden gem. Yes, we can argue that it doesn't have the infrastructure of more of a popular destinations, for example, but if you're looking for that still very local and authentic experience and some of the most stunning beaches, then of course Puglia is one of the places that I would recommend for you guys to kind of, you know, zero in and start paying closer attention to Puglia. And of course, again, if you work with a travel agent and you're not doing research on your own, you will be able to have your local travel agency to share with you which places are the best ones to go to Puglia, where to stay, what to do, etc., all that insider information. We have a lot of clients this year that are starting to travel to Puglia, which I'm very, very happy about. And of course, we're booking all the local restaurants for them. We're recommending where to go for the day trips, what to do. We're organizing tours, activities, accommodations, all of this for that area. And it makes me very, very happy that Puglia is starting to gain the spotlight. Finally, it's starting to gain the spotlight. And of course, Sicily is becoming very, very popular. And I said it in one of the podcasts that I've done all inclusive resorts in Italy, because all inclusives in Italy, guys, it's becoming a thing. And I did the whole episode, a podcast episode on all inclusives in Italy. And one of the I would say centers for all inclusives is Sicily. Sicily is known for all inclusives, and there has been a huge spike, for I believe it's 424% spike in bookings for Sicily after the White Lotus. So many people, so many people are going to Sicily and starting to travel to Sicily. So that's what we see as top destinations for the summer. In Italy, we're starting to see Sicily, which always again been the case, but now it's way more. Puglia, Sardinia, of course, those are the places that are slowly starting to gain more and more spotlight, and I love it. And I will make sure to do a lot of videos for you guys on those destinations, so you know exactly where to go, what to do, etc. Because I understand from when if you're in the US, which is the majority of my audience and majority of my clients for my travel agency, if you see constantly on social media videos on Amalfi Coast, right? Of course, majority of you say, okay, let me zero in on Amalfi Coast because people are going there. I already see the restaurants where they're recommending. I see more or less activities, tours. So you start looking at Amalfi Coast. So it is important as a travel YouTuber in Italy for me to go and share with you other places that are less known but equally stunning and special in their own right and way. And that is something that is a goal of mine for the future, is to also show you guys less known places. It is something that I really want to do with the more accent, even going into the next year. I really want to show you guys those places that are so worth your attention. Again, not for the first visit. I get it. Not for the first visit. The first visit, of course, it's Rome, it's Florence, potentially Venice, Amalfi Coast. I get it. Those are the winners. it's not something I would recommend for the first time. But if you plan on coming back to Italy and exploring more of it, then of course there are so many special places for you guys to visit. And of course it also depends on the time of the year. For example, I wouldn't recommend people going to the Amalfi Coast in January, for example, right? So if you ask me, Anastasia, where to go, in January, or in Italy in January, it would be very different suggestions than where to go in Italy in July, right? Because of course it just depends on the season, and that's why trip planning for Italy, there are so many little nuances to consider. The time of the year you're going, the activities you want to do, experiences you're after, the distances. Again, it's something that I talked about in one of my podcast episodes. So many people don't consider the distances between places, and it's crucial, because they end up literally spending half of the day just getting somewhere because they don't logistically realize how long it takes to get to the train station, then take a train, then hope the train is not going to be late, then get out of the train. A lot of times it also requires a few train connections, so they have to get from one train to another. Sometimes they miss the second train. It just, there are so many things to figure out. So I always say, organize your trips in a wise way logistically. It's so important. Logistics are everything when it comes to organizing your trips to Italy, guys. It's so important, because you do not want to spend half of your trip on just getting somewhere. And what I see, one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is that they they see on the map that the place is closed, and they think, okay, I'm gonna go, and they spend more time on the train or in the car, or whatever the method of transportation. They spend more time getting actually to that place than actually enjoying that place. So they would spend 3-4 hours just getting there, then they would spend maybe 2 hours, 3 hours exploring the place, and then they have to take all that trains and cars or whatever it is again back for the other 4 hours. So they would spend 6 to 8 hours on the road and only 2 to 3 hours enjoying the actual place. And again, because they didn't take into consideration all these things: how long is going to take me to get there, what if the train is going to be delayed, or what if I miss the second train, or how long does it take for me to get from the train station to the place where I actually want to be, or how long will it take for me to get from my place to the train station. There are so many logistics. Guys, please, if you are not working with a local travel agent, and the reason why I always say local is because local travel agents are the ones to know all those logistics. It's impossible for you to know all of that if you are not from this place. It's impossible, not because you are not good, but because you can't. It's when you are in that place, or you spend majority of your time in that place, you know what is going on, you understand the country from the logistics standpoint. So if you are not working with a local travel agency, you have to do your own research in depth, please, because I see so many people who really are not enjoying their vacations to the fullest because they did not organize it in the best logistical way, and all they're doing are packing, unpacking, going from one place to another, spending so much time in transportation, doing all the check-ins, check-outs, or they're arriving somewhere and they don't know what to do in that place because they didn't do a good research, or they're staying at accommodation that maybe is not in the safest area. I see so many trips gone wrong because of all these things. So if you're planning a trip by yourself, which can be a very fun thing to do, you have to really dig deep, guys. You have to do very deep research. Okay. So let's see. Florine says, which is an underrated region, city in Italy to flee from the crowds in the summer? So like I said, so far I see, of course, again, one thing we also have to keep in mind here is how to get to those places, because of course you I can share with you a few regions, let's say, right? But I also need to keep in mind, look from the logistic standpoint, how will you get there, right? And will you be renting a car, or will you rely on private transportation? Also, of course, the train system, etc., etc. So of course, like I mentioned, Puglia is, I'd say, has this really good balance right now between still not being overly crowded, but also starting to have a pretty good infrastructure for you to be able to get there by train. So I would say Puglia is one. Of course, it also depends on what, what would you like to do, because if you like mountains, then of course I would recommend north of Italy. But you also have to keep in mind, of course, that it will be quite busy because a lot of Europeans will be traveling there for the summer. So without again spending 30 minutes of talking on this subject, because I can, I would say I would look into Puglia as a right now as a region. Maybe if you want to avoid the crowds, I would avoid all those really really popular places that people go to in Puglia and focus on less known um, towns and places in Puglia. But I'd say Puglia right now is gaining the momentum, and it has that nice balance between infrastructure for you to actually to be able to get to Puglia, and also still not insane crowds as you see on the Amalfi Coast. So that is one place that I would recommend for you to kind of look at right now. But the thing is with Italy, it's it's the most important for you to consider is also the city you're flying into and the airports, and then getting from there. For example, if you're flying, let's say, into Naples airport, then you have to also figure out the logistics. How am I going to get to Puglia? So you have to look at, okay, I'm flying into Naples. Where is the nearest train station? Then I have to figure out which place in Puglia I'm going to go. Do I need to switch trains? Which trains should I switch in? How should I structure as far as how much time should I give myself between those trains, or is it a direct train? And once I arrive to Puglia, to that train station, then what happens? How far is it from my accommodation, etc., etc. So I would just consider all those things when it comes to organizing your trip, because sometimes I can say and give you the region of the city, but then you're thinking, okay, that's great, Anastasia, but how am I going to get there? So all these things need to be taken into consideration, of course. Jim Curtis, I went to Amalfi at the end of January and it was great. Not as crowded, and weather was 50, 60 Fahrenheit. Yeah, Jim, exactly. It's all depends what you are after. Of course, like I said, January in Amalfi, of course, it's not going to be crowded because no one goes there. But if you want, what a lot of people want from Amalfi Coast, majority of people want from Amalfi Coast, which is to be able to go to the beach, to be able to eat at local taverns on the outside, of course, with a nice views, then of course January is not something that a month that I would normally recommend, because again, a lot of people, when they go to Amalfi, they are after those experiences. They want to experience the beaches, they want to experience going on a boat around the Amalfi Coast or around Capri. They want to go to, let's say, Blue Grotto, for example. They want to eat at those local tavernas with the views of the sea. They want to sit outside. They want to enjoy the Amalfi Coast. But if you're going to Amalfi Coast just to look, just to kind of walk and take a look around all of that, then yeah, you can do that in January. It's just most people go to Amalfi Coast for a different type of experience. But to what you just said, if you just want to walk around and have almost no one there and just see it how it looks, because of course, for example, Positano views, they are the same, be it January or be it May or be it July, they're stunning. So if that's the only thing that you want, then of course you can go in January. It's just that's not the preference for most people based on what they want to experience in the Amalfi. And so Ronald says, in Amalfi, is there a hop on, hop off bus? Ronald, I would strongly advise against taking any kind of buses in the Amalfi Coast, especially in the high season. It's a mess. It's a complete mess because buses, if you look at the roads on the Amalfi Coast, buses, there's a, so pretty much here's, let me picture it for you. There is a small road, right, along the Amalfi, and everyone is taking that road. And there are huge buses, of course, that are going one way and another way. And a lot of times there are buses that get stuck together with the cars. Or there are two buses that get stuck because they're going two separate directions. And you're spending hours and hours just sitting in traffic, because the traffic on Amalfi Coast, it gets so intense, and cars constantly and buses constantly get stuck, and they kind of have to maneuver themselves, and try to see who is going to let who pass. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Trust me, you do not want to do any kind of hop on, hop offs, buses, regular buses, anything when it comes to do with the public transportation. It's genuinely, it becomes a nightmare during the season. You get stuck like sardines. And sometimes what happens also, because a lot of times you just standing because there's no places, because there's so many people. Sometimes bus drivers don't even stop at certain stops because there are so many people, so they don't even let people in or out. A lot of times they run completely off the schedule. So just because it says when you come to the bus stop and it says this kind of bus is going to arrive, let's say at 12:20, it hardly ever arrives at 12:20 for exactly that reason, because of the traffic, because all the cars and everyone gets completely just, the roads get so congested that it's impossible to be on that precise schedule. I would not recommend this to anyone, guys, to anyone, to experience Amalfi Coast that way. Really, genuinely, if you find yourself on that bus, I promise you will remember me. You will say, I heard Anastasia saying this, and I still did it my way, and here I am on this bus. Please don't do this, guys, to yourself. Not on Amalfi, not um, during the high season, which we're already in a high season pretty much. So please don't do this to yourself. The best way to explore Amalfi Coast, of course, it depends on the budget, but I would say either from the sea, getting a nice boat tour. For example, we organize tons of private boat tours for our clients. So you can do it from Sorrento port, you can do it from Positano port. You can sometimes, what we do, we have our clients take a ferry, we get them ferry tickets from Sorrento, for example, to Capri. And then at Capri, they get greeted by the captain, and they go along the Amalfi Coast or Capri. It just depends on how many hours, of course, you are on the boat, what experiences you're after, because you are able to discuss all of these things with your captain and customize it according to your preference. So you get to see all those stunning towns from the water, which is incredible. There are some restaurants even that you can access only from the water. So if you have a great captain, he can take you to all those hidden gems, and not just Blue Grotto, because Blue Grotto, it's another logistic that I won't go into, because otherwise this live is going to be another 2 hours. But a lot of really good local captains from that area, they know stunning grottos and hidden gems, and they know exactly, based on your preference, where to take you, how to take you, how to show you the best things. So you get to discover Amalfi Coast from a very unique perspective from the water, and you get to see and experience a lot of hidden gems. So that's one thing. And then another one is from a private, with a private driver. For example, we also organize a lot of day trips with a private driver, so you can have a private driver, also local obviously, take you to some of the best Amalfi Coast towns, and the driver is with you. So of course he gives you all the tips, all the tricks. He knows where for you to have lunch. You get to experience all the towns at your own pace. It's just it's way more pleasant and stress-free way of exploring Amalfi. Another one, for example, is a Path of Gods. For example, you can do that. Also, we organize a lot of times Path of Gods with a local tour guide who takes you to all some of the most picturesque views on the Amalfi Coast. You get to see Amalfi from the top, and you get to go to Shepherd's Home and try different local specialties like fresh local mozzarella. You get to taste limoncello, all those things. And then you get to have picnic with some of the most incredible views over Amalfi Coast. That is prepared for you, the picnic with the pasta and local wines and local limoncello and all of this. So there are so many unique experiences, like I said, if you're working with a local travel agency, that we can organize for you, or another local agency can organize for you, where you can truly experience Amalfi at its best. And when you are from here, you really know how to do it in the right way. We know not to put our clients on the bus and send them along the Amalfi Coast, because we know it's going to be the absolute disaster. So again, it's just like I mentioned before I started reading comments. Again, research, guys. It will save you so much stress. It will save you so much. Um, it will really change your entire experience if you do proper research, if you're organizing a trip to Italy by yourself and not working with the agency, because it's very important to know all of these nuances, all of these details when you're organizing your trips. So Kim is saying last minute trip to Rosignano Marittimo, thinking about the Amalfi first. Your suggestions of where that's not so touristy, also best way to travel. I don't know if it's a question or a statement. I'm sorry, Kim. I also don't know what last minute is, because of course it's all about logistics, how to get there, where you're going, staying first, things like that. It's very very important to take all of this into consideration. Ronald says, good to know. I'm happy, Ronald, that I hopefully talked you out of the bus. Please don't do this to yourself. You will be very happy at the end that you didn't. All right, guys, anything else? I feel like, hold on, I had something else to mention. Let's see. One last thing that I just want to tell you guys: this year weather has been interesting in Italy. We usually have way better, is that the word, better weather in May? Not that it's bad, but it's been raining a lot this year, a lot, and the temperatures are much cooler. So if you plan on traveling to Italy soon, definitely make sure to pack a good mix, especially for the evening time, because the temperatures still drop quite significantly. It's very unusual spring, quite cool. But those of you who actually like cooler temperatures, it's a good thing, because usually by this time of the year it's already full-blown summer. So it's very unusual for us to have temperatures that we do. And unfortunately, it's been a little bit grayish. The weather is not is not, I don't know. The weather is just not weathering this year, for the lack of a better word, because I've been speaking for almost 2 hours. So my brain is starting to kind of shut down. But definitely get a good mix of clothes, guys. Make sure that you have something to throw over your shoulders for the evening time, be it a light cardigan or a scarf, maybe a light blazer, jacket, something that will keep you warm in the evenings, because this year, this is very unusually cool, chilly weather for us for this time of the year. It's very, very surprising. Let me check what Rome is like next week. But yes, this is quite chilly for this time of the year. Yeah, definitely bring a good mix, guys. But of course, more on a summer side, but still make sure to bring a few things to kind of cover yourself, especially if you plan on traveling more up north towards Milan. Then definitely bring some layers, guys. It's very, very important. I talk about it all the time. But yeah, May has been a bit chilly this year, which it's okay. It's okay. It's still Italy. It's still stunning. And because we had so much rain, everything is in bloom, guys. You should have seen Villa Borghese. It's a jungle. There's so much grass and flowers and everything. I mean, it's blooming. It's stunning. So thank God for rain, because definitely the nature this year is just beautiful. But yeah, the temperatures are just a bit cooler than usual. Okay, last call for any questions that you guys have for me before I wrap it up. I covered so much. I hope this was helpful and useful, guys. I think I'm going to start getting a lot of comments from the West Coast when they start waking up. So I know I'm going to get a lot of comments from the West Coast, and in the comment section. Definitely drop them for me, guys, down below. I'm starting to to move on my chair a lot. So, Ronald, grazie for weather report. Going to Borghese Gallery next Sunday. Oh, you will love it. One of my absolute favorite galleries in entire Italy. I love Borghese Gallery, and of course Borghese Gardens. Definitely don't skip Borghese Gardens, since you will be already there. I always recommend either come before and give yourself a little bit more time to come to the Borghese Gardens and enjoy them, or after the Borghese Gallery. But definitely don't skip Villa Borghese. It's one of my, if not the favorite place in entire Rome. I go there almost, I try on a daily basis to go there, meditate, read a book, walk around. That garden is just stunning. I just cannot say enough good things about it. There is so much to do there. I always say, you can rent a boat, go on the lake, you can have a picnic there. You can also rent a bike or anything and just roam around the park. You can go for a run, you can meditate. Of course, it has Punto Pincho, which is one of the best panoramic spots of the entire Rome. So if you are after the views, definitely go to Punto Pincho. You will be able to see the entire St. Peter's from there, and Rome. It's mind-blowingly beautiful. So do not skip Villa Borghese. Do it before or after, it depending, of course, also when is your visit to Borghese Gallery, because the way you can do it, you can actually go earlier, roam around, look at the gardens, enjoy. Then you can have a villa explore the Borghese Gallery, and then after that have a picnic there, for example, because you can have a picnic anywhere in Villa Borghese, and you can bring wine. You can have wine. I know in a lot of places in the U.S., for example, North Carolina, you couldn't really just drink wine and beer and everything. I don't know if it changed, but of course I left almost 10 years ago. But when I lived there, you couldn't really just enjoy a bottle of wine on the park, but you can actually you can do that in Villa Borghese. You can bring a nice bottle of wine, sandwiches, and just have a really nice picnic in Villa Borghese. You will absolutely love it. I try to do it as much as possible. At least once a week, I try to have a picnic in Villa Borghese. It's so beautiful there. So that's my kind of, again, small insider tip. Definitely explore the Villa Borghese, either before or after your Borghese gallery. Okay, I can tell my voice is disappearing, guys. I'm gonna start whispering soon. I hope this was useful and helpful and beneficial. Of course, for those of you who are just tuning in, who are new to my channel, and this is your first interaction with me, I'm going to leave you tons of useful videos for you guys to watch on my channel. There are tons that I left in the description down below. It has all the guides on Venice and Florence and Milan, and all the most important tips when it comes to what to pack for Italy and how to avoid tourist traps, and the best times to visit Italy, the worst times to visit Italy. There is just so much there, guys. So you can start from that library that I left in the description down below for you guys to check out my videos. Also, I left the link, of course, to my Fabulous Vita travel agency, because a lot of you always reach out to me after the live and say, Anastasia, what is the website of your travel agency? So I made sure to leave the link also down below, so you have all that information as well for my Fabulous Vita travel agency. And of course, if you're new to my channel, I would be so happy if you subscribe, guys, and join me on this journey of sharing Italy with you, and of course on my podcast, where I go into depths on so many subjects, all travel related. But of course, I'm a strong believer in exploring the world outside of us, and of course exploring the world inside of us. And I always look for ways of how to combine these two explorations together. And I love sharing all of this with you guys, either travels around Italy, and of course Greece, and you will see a little bit more travel of France also. So if these countries resonate with you, if my messages resonate with you, if my personality and how I present things resonate with you, then of course, guys, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. And I promise so much content is coming your way, guys. I have so much prepared, and I will continue to sharing more and more and more information, and of course other things with you guys. It's this channel, you guys know, I always say it in every single live that I do, this channel is truly, it's my baby. This community is everything for me, and I of course put all my energy into my passion projects, which is my travel agency, this channel, and my podcast. So thank you so much to every single one of you for your love and support, and for watching, and for every single question. I value this so much, more than you guys can ever know. Your support, this community is everything to me. Thank you, and I will see you all in my next video. Next week, you'll get so much content from me. It's going to be amazing, guys. It's going to be fabulous. All right, guys, have a beautiful Sunday, or whichever day of the week you're watching, and I will see you all next week. Ciao, ciao.